Urgent message. God is crying, He's trying to protect you from this person. Listen, slow your breath for a moment. Do not rush past this. I know you almost did. I know your finger hovered, your mind distracted, your heart tired. But there is a reason you stopped here. There is a reason these words found you now and not earlier, not later. I am speaking softly, not to frighten you, but to reach you before something unseen moves any closer. I come to you quietly, like a whisper in the dark room when everyone else is asleep. I am not shouting. I am not forcing. I am not threatening. I am asking you to listen with the part of you that still feels, even when you pretend you don't. Because right now, heaven is not silent. Heaven is heavy. Heaven is watching you with a tenderness that aches. And yes, my child, God is crying. Not because He is weak. Not because He has lost control. But because He loves you deeply, and He sees something you cannot yet see clearly. You have felt it, haven't you? That strange tightening in your chest when you think of this person. That confusion where love and fear sit together. The way your spirit feels drained after every interaction, even when your mind tries to explain it away. You told yourself it's normal. You told yourself you're overthinking. You told yourself you're just tired. But your soul has been whispering to you in ways words cannot fully explain. I am here because the whispers were not enough anymore. There is a presence around you that does not come with light, even though it pretends to. This person smiles, speaks gently, maybe even claims love or loyalty. They may say they want the best for you. They may remind you of history, of shared pain, of promises. But underneath those words, there is something heavy. Something that presses against your peace. Something that feeds on your doubt and confusion. You are not imagining this. God sees every moment you sit alone replaying conversations in your head, wondering what you did wrong. He sees the way your energy fades after giving and giving, hoping one day it will be enough. He sees how you shrink parts of yourself to keep the peace. And every time you do, a tear falls from heaven, not of anger, but of grief. Because you were never meant to survive love. You were meant to feel safe inside it. This person does not want your freedom. They want your dependence. They do not want your healing. They want your silence. They do not want your light to grow. They want it dim enough that you keep needing them to see your own worth. And God is trying to pull you back gently, again and again. Look back for a moment. Not to relive pain, but to notice patterns. How many times did you feel hopeful, only to feel small again? How many apologies came after wounds that should never have happened? How many times did you sense distance when you spoke your truth, but warmth when you stayed quiet? These are not coincidences. These are signals. You are not being punished. You are being protected. God is crying because He knows your heart. He has watched you love in silence, forgive without being asked, and hold on long after your spirit started trembling from the weight of it all. He knows the kind of love that lives in you, the kind that doesn't calculate, doesn't compete, doesn't perform. You love in full color, even when the world meets you in shades of gray. You show up when it's inconvenient. You give from wells even you didn't know were this deep. He knows how loyal you are, even to those who have not earned the right to touch your softness. He hears the quiet prayers you whisper through tears, the ones you never post, never say out loud. He has seen you defend the ones who have hurt you, explaining their pain as if it excuses their actions, convincing yourself that if you love harder, they will learn to love right. You keep seeing what they could be, not who they keep choosing to be. That part of you, the one that sees potential over proof, is not naivete. It is purity. It is the reflection of the part of God that keeps believing in redemption. But even purity must be protected, or it will bleed dry in places it was never meant to serve. This person you are holding on to, they are not evil in the way stories describe villains. They are human, wounded, perhaps more deeply than you realize. Their emptiness runs like an echo through everything they do, an ache that reaches for anything that feels warm. And you, with your light, your warmth, your steady presence, have become their quiet fix. Their brokenness has learned to crave your brightness, the way a drowning person clings to breath. But light cannot survive if it forgets its source. You are not infinite by yourself, your glow is sustained by something holy, something only God can replenish. When you give too much, without resting in Him, your light begins to dim. Slowly, you start thinking the problem is you, that you're not bright enough, kind enough, patient enough. But God is crying tonight because He knows that isn't true. You feel responsible for them, don't you? You feel as if your leaving would collapse their world. You replay scenarios in your head. What if you leave and they fall apart? What if you stay and lose yourself? You confuse boundaries with betrayal, and silence with punishment. Deep down, you think loving someone means enduring their storms, standing in their rain even when you're drowning. But that's not divine love. That's martyrdom disguised as loyalty. Listen closely now, because this is what heaven wants you to understand. You are not meant to be someone's oxygen. You cannot be responsible for keeping another soul alive at the cost of your own breath. Even love, holy as it is, should not suffocate. True love breathes with you. It allows space for individuality, for growth, for God to remain at the center. Love that is pure will never ask you to shrink so someone else can feel whole. You've asked God for clarity. Every night, your heart whispered, "Show me the truth. Give me peace." And this quiet heaviness, is part of the answer. It's not thunder. It's not chaos. It's not a loud sign from heaven. It's the subtle heartbreak that comes when God reveals what you've been avoiding. Clarity rarely arrives with fireworks, most of the time, it comes wrapped in silence and truth. God is crying not out of anger, but out of protective sorrow. He sees the timeline you cannot. How, if this continues, your laughter will become less frequent, your joy more forced, your prayer life more weary. You'll keep giving until giving feels like drowning, and you'll wonder how the love you once found sacred turned into a burden. God cannot force your hand, but He will whisper to your spirit until you listen. These tears are reminders, droplets of divine mercy falling over your story, washing away what no longer aligns with your becoming. You are standing at a quiet turning point. There hasn't been a big explosion yet. No betrayal so loud that others can see. But your spirit already knows what your mind avoids. That quiet discomfort? That slight restlessness that follows you into prayer? That's not something to dismiss. It's divine protection beginning its quiet work. God doesn't always protect you after the storm. Sometimes, He moves you before the thunder even starts. You're afraid to step back, aren't you? Afraid of what it will mean. Afraid of being seen as unkind, of being misunderstood, of being alone. You think, if I leave, am I abandoning them? Am I failing the test of love? But heaven is whispering a different message tonight, that stepping back is not abandonment, it is obedience. Letting go doesn't mean you stop loving them, it means you start loving yourself with the same devotion you've been giving away. God never removes without replacing. He never asks you to release something without already preparing something safer, softer, truer ahead. What He has planned for you isn't punishment, it's preservation. Every closed door is a mercy too complex to be understood immediately. The emptiness you'll feel after walking away will one day be filled with a peace so still, you'll forget how chaotic it used to be. You are not weak for caring deeply. You are not foolish for loving sincerely. But endurance is not the same as destiny. Some people arrive in our lives not to stay, but to teach. Some relationships exist to stretch your compassion until you realize compassion must also include yourself. You cannot build a future on potential alone, not when your present is asking you to pay in exhaustion. Right now, heaven is not asking you to fight. You don't have to prepare speeches. You don't have to explain your worth or justify your feelings. You only need to listen. Listen to that inner stillness, that flicker of knowing that refuses to quiet. When peace leaves the room, don't chase it, follow it. It is showing you the way home. There is a sacred difference between guilt and guidance. Guilt freezes you, guidance frees you. The heaviness you feel right now, that ache that feels like mourning something that still exists, it's not punishment. It's preparation. It's your soul recognizing it's time to move differently, to breathe again, to return to the light it once knew. God is crying because He remembers you. Not the you that stands before the mirror now, scrutinizing every line etched by worry, every shadow cast by doubt. No, He remembers the essence of you, the unguarded laughter that bubbled up from your soul like a spring in a hidden meadow, pure and unfiltered, echoing through rooms without a care for who might hear. That laughter wasn't rehearsed or restrained, it was the sound of freedom, the melody of a heart at ease. He recalls the way you used to pray, not as a duty or a desperate plea, but as a conversation with an old friend, words flowing effortlessly like a river finding its path to the sea. There was no hesitation, no second-guessing whether your words were worthy or if they reached high enough. Prayer was simply breathing in His presence, exhaling trust without the weight of expectation. And oh, the confidence, that radiant assurance that wasn't borrowed from applause or tethered to someone else's nod of approval. It was rooted deep within, like an ancient oak drawing strength from unseen soil, standing tall against the winds of opinion. He remembers that childlike joy, the kind that painted your days in vibrant hues, where wonder was your compass and delight your daily bread. It hasn't been gone long, this joy. It's merely been buried, layer by layer, under the heavy soil of disappointment. Disappointments that came like unexpected storms, drenching your spirit, eroding the paths you once skipped along. Perhaps it was a dream deferred, a relationship that promised forever but delivered only fragments, or a betrayal that left you questioning the very ground beneath your feet. Whatever the form, these burdens have piled up, obscuring the light that once shone so brightly from within. Yet, in His infinite gaze, God longs for your return to that state of being. It's a longing not born of frustration or impatience, but of profound love, a love that sees beyond the temporary veil of sorrow. He doesn't demand a hurried excavation, He invites a gentle unearthing, a rediscovery of the self He crafted with such care. That's the person He fell in love with, the one whose existence was enough to illuminate the world around them. Not the version now striving to prove goodness through endless acts of service or sacrifice, as if love could be earned like a wage. No, He cherishes the radiant soul who simply existed in His grace, basking in it like sunlight on open fields, absorbing its warmth without question or condition. In His vision, He sees who you are meant to become, whole, like a mosaic pieced together from shattered fragments, each one gleaming with purpose. Content, not in the fleeting highs of achievement, but in the quiet certainty of being enough. Standing firm in a peace that doesn't tremble with every shift in circumstance, a peace that anchors like a lighthouse amid turbulent seas, guiding you through storms without faltering. This wholeness isn't a distant dream, it's the blueprint etched in your spirit from the beginning, waiting to be realized. Imagine this. A morning where you awaken without that familiar pit of anxiety gnawing at your stomach, no invisible weight pressing down like an uninvited guest. The air feels lighter, your breath deeper, as if the dawn itself conspires to lift the burdens you've carried. No silent dread of walking on emotional eggshells, tiptoeing around fragile egos or unspoken tensions that drain your energy like a slow leak. Instead, your steps are sure, grounded in a serenity that flows from within, not dictated by the moods of others. Imagine your laughter returning naturally, not forced or fleeting, but genuine and infectious, rippling out to touch those around you. It's the kind of laughter that starts in your belly and rises like music, reminding everyone nearby of the simple joy of being alive. Your prayers flowing easily once more, words tumbling forth without the barrier of doubt, connecting you to the divine in a rhythm as natural as your heartbeat. And your love, oh, your love lighting up others without the cost of setting yourself on fire. No longer do you pour from an empty cup, depleting your reserves in the name of affection. Instead, it's a reciprocal glow, where giving enhances rather than exhausts, where boundaries are bridges rather than walls. That's the life God sees for you, vivid and attainable, painted in strokes of hope and restoration. It's a life where fulfillment isn't chased but embraced, where every moment is infused with the possibility of grace. He refuses to let this vision slip away unguarded, standing as sentinel over your potential, warding off the thieves of despair that seek to steal it. His protection is fierce yet tender, a guardian's vigilance born of eternal affection. This isn't punishment, it's intervention. Divine love doesn't always whisper affirmations or grant every wish with a benevolent yes. Sometimes, it intervenes with a resolute enough, a boundary drawn not in anger but in wisdom. Enough of the cycles that diminish you, enough of the patterns that erode your spirit. It's the loving hand that pulls you back from the edge, redirecting your path toward healing. Like a parent steering a child away from harm, God's enough is a declaration of value. You are worth saving, worth redirecting, worth the discomfort of change. So, take your time. There's no rush in the realm of the eternal. Healing unfolds in its own season, like a flower blooming under the patient sun. You don't have to decide everything tonight, mapping out futures or dissecting pasts under the harsh light of urgency. Allow the pieces to settle, the dust to clear, as you listen to the quiet voice within. But amidst this grace of time, you must stop pretending your intuition is lying to you. That inner knowing, that gentle nudge or insistent pull, it's not a deceiver but a divine compass, calibrated by the one who knows you best. Your discomfort is sacred communication, a holy telegram from the heavens, signaling that something is amiss, that alignment awaits elsewhere. It's not a curse or a flaw in your character, it's a beacon guiding you home. The unease you feel isn't a betrayal of your faith, far from it. It is evidence of it, a testament to your soul's attunement to higher truths. Because faith isn't just trusting God with the sparkling beginnings, the exciting launches into new adventures. It's also trusting Him with the endings, the closures that feel like losses but are gateways to greater things. Endings that prune away the wilted branches, making space for new growth, for blossoms yet to come. Returning to that state isn't about regressing, it's about reclaiming, integrating the wisdom earned through hardship into a fuller, steadier expression of who you are now. You are not the same person who first entered those valleys. You carry new sight, deeper compassion, and a quieter strength that does not announce itself. God is not asking you to forget what you endured, He is asking you to stop living inside it. The chapter has taught you what it needed to teach. Now it is loosening its grip. There is a holy maturity in knowing when something has completed its work in your life. Some connections are meant to walk with you only until you learn a certain truth. Some patterns remain until you finally hear what your soul has been whispering all along. Staying past that moment does not make you more loving, it only makes you more tired. Heaven does not celebrate unnecessary suffering. It honors growth, discernment, and courage. The quiet bravery it takes to say, "This is where I stop betraying myself." God has watched every time you tried to make things work by shrinking, by softening your needs, by carrying more than your share of emotional weight. He saw the nights when you replayed conversations, wondering how to explain yourself better, how to be easier to love. He saw how often you blamed yourself for other people's inability to meet you in honesty. And still, He waited patiently, not in judgment, but in trust. Knowing the moment would come when you would finally choose alignment over endurance. That moment is not dramatic. It does not always come with fireworks or final speeches. Often, it arrives as a quiet clarity. A stillness. A sudden exhaustion with repeating the same pain. You wake up one day and realize you don't want to fight anymore, not because you've given up, but because you've grown up spiritually. You no longer need chaos to feel alive. You no longer need to prove your worth through sacrifice. Peace begins to look more attractive than being right, more valuable than being understood. And God smiles at that moment, not because you are leaving something behind, but because you are finally stepping forward. There is no punishment in distance when distance is chosen with reverence. Silence, when guided by wisdom, is not avoidance, it is protection. God Himself often withdraws, not out of absence, but out of intention. Even Jesus stepped away from crowds, from demands, from expectations, to be alone with the Father. Solitude was not a failure of love, it was the source of it. If God honors retreat, you are not wrong for needing it too. You are allowed to rest without apologizing. You are allowed to heal without explaining. You are allowed to choose a quieter life if that is where your soul can finally breathe. The world may misinterpret your withdrawal. Some will call it cold. Others will call it pride. But heaven calls it wisdom. Heaven knows the difference between walls built from fear and boundaries built from clarity. One isolates, the other preserves. One closes the heart, the other saves it. And God is invested in your heart. There are things He still wants to do through you, gentle things, life-giving things, that cannot grow in environments of constant emotional noise. Seeds need still soil. New beginnings require space. Even miracles need room to land. So when you step back, heaven steps closer. You may not feel fireworks, but you will notice something subtler. Your breath deepens. Your thoughts slow. Your prayers stop sounding like emergency calls and start sounding like conversations again. You laugh more easily. You sleep more deeply. You begin to recognize yourself again, not the version shaped by pressure, but the one shaped by truth. God has been waiting for you there. And about the tears, because yes, heaven weeps, but not the way humans imagine. God's tears are not despair. They are compassion in motion. They fall not because you failed, but because you suffered longer than you had to. They fall not in disappointment, but in tenderness. Every tear God sheds for you carries intention. It softens what has hardened. It washes what has been stained by shame. It prepares ground for something kinder to grow. There are moments when a heaviness settles in the chest, quiet and uninvited. It does not announce itself like grief usually does. It doesn't follow a specific event or heartbreak. Instead, it rises like morning mist, soft, formless, and yet tangible enough to make you pause. That ache, that strange mixture of sadness and relief, is not random. It is not proof that you are regressing. It is the evidence of healing doing its quiet work inside you. You are feeling the grief leave your body. You are witnessing the residue of what you carried, old memories, forgotten disappointments, unspoken prayers, finally dissolving. Healing rarely looks clean or linear. It comes disguised as fatigue, tears, or sudden waves of emotion you can't fully name. And yet, that ache is mercy in motion. It's your soul unclenching, your heart making space for what is new. This sadness before freedom is sacred. It does not mean you are falling backward, it means something old is releasing at last. You are not weak for feeling this. You are not dramatic for crying over things you thought you had already moved past. You are not broken. You are releasing. And in the releasing, there is divine companionship. God is not distant in your unraveling. He is not standing on the sidelines waiting for you to get it together. He is close, closer than your breath, nearer than your thoughts. In those silent rooms where language fails, He sits with you. Steady. Unafraid. Completely present. He does not rush you through these tender seasons. He does not demand a performance of faith. He does not ask you to smile through your pain or pretend that everything is okay. He simply stays. And that staying, that steadfast, patient presence, is love in its purest form. There is something profoundly sacred happening beneath the quiet surface of your life right now. Even if nothing externally has shifted, things are aligning in unseen realms. Alignment always begins invisibly, like seeds forming roots beneath the soil. Before the flower blooms, the roots deepen. Before the breakthrough arrives, strength settles. Heaven moves in silence long before earth catches on. You may not see it, but the angels see it. Your soul recognizes it. Every tear that has watered the ground of your becoming has been accounted for. Nothing is wasted. You are being rewired for wholeness, for gentleness, for trust. You are becoming less reactive now. Less desperate to prove your worth. Less willing to abandon yourself to keep someone else comfortable. This is not you becoming cold or hardened, it is you becoming whole. You are learning that peace does not require constant participation in chaos. You are learning that not every invitation deserves a response. Not every emotion needs to be aired. Not every battle requires your involvement. Discernment, the quiet knowing of your spirit, is one of the highest forms of love. It honors truth without forcing it. It protects your energy without apology. It allows you to stand in compassion without losing clarity. God trusts you with this discernment now. He trusts the maturity He is forming in you. The ability to pause instead of react, to listen instead of rush, to surrender instead of control. You have earned this spiritual wisdom not through ease, but through endurance. And here's something you may need to hear clearly, perhaps more than once: you are not behind. You did not miss your divine moment. Nothing sacred has passed you by. Divine timing is not bound by human clocks. Heaven does not measure progress in months or milestones. What feels delayed to you has often been divinely protected. What seemed like loss was often redirection. What looked like rejection was sometimes rescue. God did not abandon you in the waiting. He has been building you in the stillness, constructing inner strength, refining character, and strengthening the muscles of trust. The waiting was not wasted time. It was preparation, training for a season that requires more stability than speed. There will come a day, perhaps sooner than you think, when you will look back and understand why everything had to pause before it could progress. Why silence came before sound. Why rest came before movement. You will see how the slowing down was not punishment but protection. The quietness of this season is shaping the quality of the next. You will see how clarity replaced confusion, how peace gently replaced striving, and how your life became simpler but infinitely deeper. You will notice that what you thought you lost was never meant to carry you into the future. The things that fell away did not fall apart, they fell into alignment with your purpose. And in that realization, gratitude will bloom, not necessarily for the pain itself, but for the wisdom it left behind. You will thank the seasons that broke you open because they also rebuilt you stronger. You will see how divine love was threading itself through every moment, even the ones that felt void of meaning. Until that revelation fully unfolds, breathe. Just breathe. Let each exhale remind you that release is holy. Move gently through this chapter. Do not rush your becoming. Healing has a pace, and it is sacred. God already knows the next step, the next door, the next season. You do not have to force your way through it. You only have to remain faithful to the moment you're in. You are not being left behind, you are being led. God is already in your next chapter, not waiting impatiently, but watching lovingly. He knows precisely when you will be ready to step forward again. And when that time comes, you will not be empty-handed. You will carry discernment like a compass, softness like a prayer, strength like armor, and a deeper trust in yourself and in Him. You will carry the quiet knowing that you are never, ever walking alone. Not now. Not ever. Even in silence, your angels stand guard. Even in uncertainty, heaven whispers direction. You are held, wholly, safely, and continuously. You are guided, even when you cannot see the map. You are loved beyond words, beyond effort, beyond measure. So do not despise this in-between. Do not fear the quiet or the stillness. This sacred pause is not emptiness, it is gestation. Something holy is forming. You are learning what peace feels like after chaos, what truth sounds like beneath noise, what strength looks like when it no longer needs to be proven. This is your becoming, slow, radiant, honest. This is the rebuilding of your inner foundation. The world may not notice the transformation yet, but heaven applauds every small act of endurance. Every time you choose stillness over reaction, compassion over resentment, trust over control, you expand spiritually. One day soon, your outer world will catch up with the inner healing that is unfolding. You will shine differently, speak differently, choose differently. You will live at a frequency of peace that no storm can steal. And in that moment, you will know with unshakable certainty, you were never behind, never forgotten, never forsaken. God was in every breath, every tear, every pause. He was not distant, He was dwelling quietly within you, preparing you for the brightness ahead. And this beginning right here, quiet and sacred and wildly brave, is blessed.